awarded to an EPC contractor. This will require multi-project management teams, and this will result in interfaces between these packages and these projects. And we will be dealing with a large number of vendors all over the world. A huge number of documents will be produced by the EPC contractors. You will need huge stores to store your material and spare parts. You will need special logistic plans to transport the modules and spare parts and the manpower and so on. And it is representing a golden opportunity to implement the system properly, since you are starting from scratch for a new project. So there is no excuse for mistakes and the problems of the legacy systems. Now, what is the impact of mega projects magnitude on the asset management system implementation? You have seen the pictures. These pictures, if you remember, what is the common understanding of these pictures? It tells us two things. It's huge and it is complex. If it is huge and complex, then we cannot deal with these projects as the type of normal projects. It will require different way of tackling, different thinking, different proactive and strategic thinking to be able to tackle these projects. Otherwise, the normal routine and procedures that we use with the other projects will not succeed to fulfill the requirements of the mega projects. That's why you need to think differently, strategic and proactive. And I'm going to give some examples of this type of thinking. The story of the implementation of the asset management system, the successful one, should start as early as before the EPC contractor awarded. It has to start from the preparing the scope of work of the EPC contractor. To inject your requirements in the scope of work, you have to inject your requirements very comprehensively and accurately. Another different way of thinking is that the normal procedure for procuring the spare parts may not guarantee that you will have the spares available in your stores when you are going to start up your plant. So you have to think differently. In our case, we agreed with the management and we prepared a strategy that we are going to procure and buy the spare parts through the EPC contractor directly. This will guarantee his commitment to provide the spare parts on time, and he will be on top of the requirement. And this will shorten the delivery and the procurement period or duration, which will guarantee that you will have the spares in your stores before startup, which is very crucial to your project. Long-term service agreement. When you buy an important piece of equipment like a turbine, like a compressor, you will need to establish a long-term service agreement with the vendor. If you wait till you buy and he knows that you bought his equipment, he will start to dictate his prices. While if you inject these requirements in the EPC contractor scope of work, you will ask him to ask the vendors to get quotation for the long-term service agreement. You will get very competitive price. We tried this and it succeeded. So this is a different way of thinking. For the implementation itself, you have to think strategic. Which type of strategy you will implement when you implement the scope of work, the system itself? Are you going to make this in-house? Are you going to do this outsourced? Are you going to make a mix of these? You have to assess these choices, pros and cons, and risk assessment, and then you select a strategy to be implemented. And when you select a strategy, you please go and peer review this strategy, because you need other views from other experts who have done the similar work. When the strategy is well formed and agreed, then you have to establish and develop a very comprehensive scope of work that covers all the requirements and leaves nothing to surprises. During the implementation itself, you will have to do some tactical planning and activities. When the EPC contractor is awarded, go and visit him in his premises and his yards to explain again what you have put in the scope of work, because no matter what you put in the scope of work, maybe he is not aware of your requirement. He will need to be reminded all the way of your requirement. So you have to go and speak with him and explain. You have to establish a mechanism to deal with this multiple EPC contractors, because you will be receiving a huge number of documentation and you will have to coordinate. Then it is also important that to attend the workshops and the meetings will be carried out by the EPC contractor, because he will be developing engineering studies and requirements that you need. It will affect your implementation of your system. The importance of the asset management system, I think, how many of you, please, participated in implementation of asset management system? Somebody? Great. So you are aware of what I'm saying. Okay, so you know the importance of asset management system. Asset management system is part of the scope of the asset management. It is not everything, but it is a very important thing. And it is existed in the operation phase, which is the longest phase of the asset life cycle. And the asset management system, integrating and interfacing with other systems, will represent a platform for all asset information and data and strategies and activities. During the implementation, we will build about half of this pyramid, which is the asset data, the asset health programs, the asset spare parts, reflect the asset strategies, and then after the implementation and during the operation phase, you will start execute activities relevant to the asset. These activities you will have to report about them, and this reporting will form the history of the asset, and analyzing this history, you can control the performance of the asset and control the risk of the asset and control the operating cost of the asset, and ultimately you will achieve the process safety through this asset management system. And please do not use multi-systems for asset requirements. Try to use this platform for everything, because when you use different systems, you are scattering the asset history and the asset data. This system can fulfill all the requirements for your assets. Implementation objectives and phases. The main objective of the implementation is to establish a robust, reliable, effective system. Why? To do the asset requirements. These asset requirements are, for example, to manage the asset performance, to maximize the production and the profit, to manage the asset risks, which is a very important requirement, the risk of the operation and the maintenance, to manage operating costs through the life cycle of the asset, and to ensure asset integrity and legislation compliance. It's a mandatory requirement, and it's by law you have to do this. to monitor the asset health, and then you can control the asset performance and the risk. The system will enable you to do the execution of the activities for the asset through work orders and other means in the system, and then enable you quick access to data, which is very important. And then when you have this data, reliable data, you will be able to make the analysis of the data and take the right decision.